No version of iOS is quite as iconic as iOS 6. There weren't many groundbreaking features in iOS 6, but iOS 6 stands apart because it's the last version of iOS that Steve Jobs directly had involvement with. I have a few devices around the house still running iOS 6, and I figured we'd take a look back at how Apple's last skeuomorphic version of iOS looks in 2019. Skeuomorphism is a way that software would be more relatable to people. For example, if you look at the camera application, when you snap a photo, physical shutters close and the photo is whisked into the camera album. The notebook looks like a real legal pad. If you go into the calendar app, it looks like a calendar book that you can scroll through and see your day-to-day events. Siri looked more clickable.
Software doesn't usually get to choose one, but I'll say mint green.
The robotic voice of Siri just sounded so exciting. It was such a new concept, and now Apple is being beaten out by the likes of Amazon and Google in the voice assistant industry. It was truly a different time back then. Another feature that I liked was the ability to go into the photo album mode, a feature that in iOS 7 was for some reason removed on the iPad. The App Store on the iPad 2 and iPhone 4S no longer works. However, on some devices, such as the 5th generation iPod Touch and the original iPad mini, the App Store does in fact work, and you're able to download older versions of some apps. I was able to download Apple's apps to take a look at them, like GarageBand, which was full of skeuomorphism, or this one. Complete with the sound of the neon sign lighting up, iMovie was the first video editing application on the iPad that you could edit videos with. Now, I personally think that we have come a long way with the likes of LumaFusion, which I'm editing this video with, and at the time, you could hardly do any edits and adjustments to the timeline. Let's look at the Pages word editing app. This was actually a fairly robust editor at the time. You could change the fonts, you could change font sizes, and you could do pretty much everything that you would expect from a word editor, except on an iPad. So we've come a long way. Even photo editing with iPhoto. Some of you may remember iPhoto, which was discontinued back in 2014, Apple's in-house photo editing software. Apple has since abandoned all photo editing softwares. If you want to have an experience using iOS 6, you can no longer downgrade, but you can follow this jailbreak tutorial with Cool Booter, where you can downgrade your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch to any version of iOS, including iOS 6. And if you want a complete tutorial on how to do this, I can absolutely put together a video for you, because it is cool to go back in time and look at how iOS used to be back in the day. So I have a 5th generation iPod Touch, and it's really easy to just boot up into iOS 6. You can use 2 operating systems at once, which makes it really nice to be able to upgrade and downgrade your device with the click of a button. You simply wait 10 seconds upon booting, and your device will turn back on, run through some scripting, and run iOS 6 exactly in its original form, just like back in 2012. It's a really cool way to do this because Apple recently patched the ability to downgrade to iOS 6. One of my most viewed videos was actually how to downgrade to iOS 6, and a lot of people really did enjoy having iOS 6 back on their iPhone 4S and iPad 2. So when making this video, I wanted to include a way that you could still get iOS 6 on your devices. This is the closest way to having native support of iOS 6 on your device, as it is the full version of iOS 6. But unfortunately, Apple is slowly crippling iOS 6 to the point that in the near future, even though you can still downgrade, no apps will work with it. It's a sad state that iOS 6 is left in, and while it is many years down the line a great operating system, it's becoming harder and harder to use as iOS 6 is slowly but surely dying a slow, painful death. Thanks for watching, everybody.